Hey everybody, Jake Reichbart here. Today I'm going to share with you a lengthy lesson excerpt. So have your guitars ready and we're going to have some fun together arranging a song. Perhaps you've seen some of my many hundreds of solo guitar arrangements I have here on YouTube, and the inspiration for these arrangements is right here behind me, as you can see. I grew up with these vinyls, and I draw pretty much from any kind of style imaginable from the pop music of the past 100 years, everything from Glenn Miller to Van Halen, Alan Holdsworth to Motown, and pretty much anything in between. Beatles, I have perhaps 25 Beatles song arrangements, 20 Steely Dan song arrangements, same for Stevie Wonder, rock, hard rock, Deep Purple, Led Zeppelin, and of course tons and tons of classic jazz standards from the 40s and 50s, bebop, dance tunes, movie themes. And if you want to learn how to arrange any of these songs for solo guitar, I can teach you. Just like the excerpt that you're about to watch, which comes from a lesson that runs about 90 minutes, I have nearly 200 additional titles, and they are mostly song specific. I enjoy teaching through specific songs because I can show you hands-on how I approach arranging a song. What's nice about these lessons is that I don't just tell you, do this and you're done, but rather I'll take you through 3 or 4 or 5 different ways to play the same passage. I'll work with you on dynamics, on articulation, and 100 other things that you cannot just put to paper. As I mentioned, these lessons run approximately 90 minutes. The introduction, which runs usually 15 minutes, focuses on the right hand and rhythm, and in this introduction I go through my 3 pillars of rhythmic arranging, the first principle being melody and bass only, the second being rhythmic arpeggiation, and the third, of course, the down stroke that I play with my right hand fingernails to produce that backbeat that everybody asks me about. Nevertheless, I do have 2 main method lessons. The first one, how to arrange any song for solo guitar, running 2 hours, and also an introduction to fingerstyle guitar and solo guitar arranging, running 2 hours and 40 minutes. The information about these lessons, the cost, my full lesson list, as well as a link to the full performance of the song that we're working on today is below in the information. So expand the information, take a look, and let's get started. I mentioned earlier that the introduction, as I play it, starts with a series of sixths, diatonic sixths, played against an open A string, and also, in fact, an open G for the most part. The G note is the 7th of A, so it's an appropriate note to play over in A minor 7. And what you might want to do is, again, just for the sake of general purpose learning, is to line up all the notes, and the principle is rather simple. You pick a starting point, let's say the open B on the 2nd string, and the open D, and that's a 6th. And why is it a 6th? Because the name of the interval is determined by the number of letters, really, that you go from note to note. D, 1, E, 2, F, 3, G, 4, A, 5, 6. So between here and here, there is a 6th. Now, it could be a major 6, as this one, or it could be a minor 6th, as this one. Doesn't matter, it's still a 6th, as determined by the number of letters, including first and last. So these are parallel 6ths. So the principle, as I said, is simple. You pick a starting note, and you move up the scale that you're in. We're in the key of C, as I mentioned. So you play all the notes in the key of C as far as you want to go on that string, and at the very same time do the exact same thing, starting with this note. So the intervals will always be parallel. As I mentioned, because of the changing nature of the scale, the 6th might be sometimes major, sometimes minor, but they will always follow in the scale. So if you just do these 2 notes together, you'll get D and B, E and C, F and D, G and E, A and F, B and G, C and A, D and B, that's the octave again, and you can continue from there on and just duplicate everything an octave higher. So that was just those two notes together. If you can combine that with these two notes, you'll get this sound. You have a duplicated G note here on the fourth and the third string. And I kind of made a little melody out of it, an invented melody. Something like this. When I get here, I do something different, but I'm going to get to that in just a second. And finish with a B minor 7 flat 5 to E, and then I go to the melody. So a measure each. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1. The first three are these. Then I split the next measure, next two measures, by playing two chords each. So, and the remaining three measures, two chords each. This one, this one, and this one. Now, I made a harmonic difference when I got to that final chord. I added the G sharp, even as I played it against the A. Creates a hint of an E7, but with A in there, so it's kind of an ambiguous kind of sound. I really like it. So at this exact moment, I have A, D, G sharp for the first time, and B. And then, as I said, just a regular A minor in the open position. Just arpeggiate it in any fashion that you'd like. And the melody starts. These two chords should be familiar to you, but I'll mention them anyway. B minor 7 flat 5 in the second position. My notes are B on the 5th string 2nd fret, F on the 4th string 3rd fret, A on the 3rd string 2nd fret, and D on the 2nd string 3rd fret. This is a diatonic chord in C. It's the 7th degree. And to E7. E7 is not a diatonic chord in the key of C. The normal E for the key of C would be an E minor if you go by degrees. So how come an E7? This is a little bit of a harmony lesson. It's a very short lesson I can give you right now. I mentioned this in great detail in other lessons, but any chord in jazz, and in fact in pop music, or any music that you like, can be preceded by its 5 momentarily. The tonal center by and far this tune is A minor 7. To precede it, to play kind of a cadence going to the resolution, we can precede it by an E7, because any chord can be preceded by its 7th, by its dominant chord. An E7th, as it were, happens to include a G sharp, not in G, which would be the natural note in the key of C. So in order to get that sound, we alter this chord and make it into an E7. So we're going to see a lot of E7s. E7s in this song, in this arrangement, because we're going to go to A minor a whole lot of times, and they're, for the most part, going to be preceded by E7. So we should have a good vocabulary of E7 chords lined up for us. So basically, to sum up the introduction, and that that E note was the pickup note. 1, 2, 3, and that is on the last quarter note of the introduction. And this note, the C, is going to be the downbeat of the melody as it starts, of the main form. I'm going to play this introduction again, kind of slow, but with the backbeat, just to hear what it sounds like. And you can also include that E string. Why not? And you notice that I'm doing that. I'm adding a lot of rhythm to what I'm doing. And again, all for the same purpose that I mentioned before, to give you and the listener something rhythmic to hang on. So I approach this B note with at least one note, if not two. And I can do the same thing for the E. And again, the purpose is rhythmic.